Hello, welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. I'm Renee Allen, the host of this podcast, and I am excited to be here today. I don't know why I laugh every time I do that, but I'm not used to rehearsed things. And it's not like I rehearsed it. I just say it whenever I come on here, but it is what it is. It's a podcast. I need to do an intro. So thank you for being here today. I'm going to talk about impulsivity again, impulsive behavior, impulse control, all of those things. And if you listen to the last two podcasts, also about impulse control, part of ADHD, part of the hyperactive impulsive type or combined type, if you have the attention deficit and the hyperactive impulsive type. But there are three kinds of impulsive behaviors, all very strong for people who deal with impulse control with ADHD. One of them is the acting without thinking, not even realizing you're doing something and then you did it. And sometimes the self-awareness, I would say, actually isn't even there, especially when you're younger. You might become self-aware eventually because you realize, oh, I'm the only person doing this. I shouldn't be talking so much, or whatever it is, whether you're in a public situation or not. And sometimes you don't realize you do it at all unless you fall, trip, whatever. You run across, I don't know if you do this, but if you leap across a room, and which I do a lot, I get an idea to do something and I think, or I forget that I was doing something and I run back, like to turn the stove off or to turn the water off or something like that. And just that idea that pops in my mind and the impulse to take care of it causes me to run into things, trip, spill things, drop things. Bruise my ribs really, really bad. Just because I don't even remember what I decided to do that day. I just turned to run across the living room. That I dealt with it for 2 weeks. My ribs hurt so bad. Teaching my classes, it was really hard. So those are the things that you do without thinking. Who knows why? And sometimes you don't even realize it ever until someone says, where'd you get that bruise? And you go, and you don't know until you run into a cupboard or something that is just that height. And oh yeah, that must be where I hit it last time. So yeah. The other one is, the second type is failure to stop an impulse when the impulse is really, really strong and you're recognizing it or you're feeling it. Maybe you're not giving it a name or something, but you're feeling it greatly and not being able to hold that in. The third kind that I want to talk about today is about the choices that we make, choosing something sooner than later, even if the reward is greater later. We choose it now. And it's interesting because they call it delay discounting, which I was thinking, because you've got two verbals here. If you've majored in English or studied English, you've got two verbal words here. So you could say, are you delaying the discount or are you discounting the delay? It's the second one. That's why I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, so you're delaying, discounting someone? What? But no, you're discounting the delayed reward. So let's say if in 1 month you don't go out, you don't spend money on going out to eat or something, in 1 month you'll have enough money to go do something you really want to do. Let's say you want to go to Disney World or something. And you'll have enough money if you don't go out to eat for a whole month. Probably not, because it's really expensive to go to Disney World. But if you eat out a lot, maybe so. So if you're discounting the delayed reward, then what you do is you think, well, it's not that great to go to Disney World anyway. You're taking whatever that prize is. Let's just put a number on it. Let's say if you don't stop and get a coffee every day on the way to work, you will have $1,000 and you could spend that $1,000 on anything you want. I'm just kind of throwing numbers out there. In your mind, when it's time to stop and get that coffee, because you love stopping and getting that, that's your habit, that's what you love, that's what will get you through your day. In your mind, that $1,000, you're starting to discount it in your mind. That is so far away that you're starting to say that $1,000, Yeah, it's not going to be there anyway. Like we'll spend the money on something else. Those are real life, discounting. But if you take something that could be a great reward, like if I go to the gym and do my workouts like I want to and eat healthier, in 6 weeks, I'll be able to do this. I'll be stronger. I'll be able to fit in my clothes again. I've been not fitting my clothes. I don't want to have to buy other clothes, and these don't fit comfortably. They're tight or whatever. But in your mind, when you're in bed and you don't want to get out of bed early enough to go to the gym, or in your mind, the comfort of being in bed longer is greater to you than the reward that you could get of doing that again and again and again. And you can even discount the benefit of what you're doing. You could even say, well, you can rationalize it away. You could say, well, because you want that comfort right now, because you want that gratification right now, you're not going to give yourself the reward later. You're going to tell yourself that reward doesn't matter as much. You're going to tell yourself that you won't get there anyway, all of those things. And if you are interested in an episode just about that whole system of reward, and maybe it works for some. I mean, rewards work. We've grown up with rewards, and we're kind of a world that does that. But if you want a whole episode about the psychology of that, with having healthier habits to have a reward later, I could do that. I may do that maybe in June or something, but maybe sooner. Maybe I can't delay the gratification of doing that. But for me anyway, I have to, because I do have this problem with the impulsivity of not valuing that greater reward as it truly will be. So I have, and I think part of it is part of my rationalization is I can't guarantee it. Will it really happen? Will I really get to have that? I'm just making sure my microphone's on. If you listen to the last one, when I recorded that one last week, no audio, but I got it to work the second time around. Anyway, back to that. If you tell yourself that you'll never get there anyway, that is really diminishing that reward, right? That's really discounting it. You're taking that reward. It was worth $1,000. Now you're taking it down to 10 cents because you're going to tell yourself it's actually worth nothing because it's not going to happen. I've been down this road before, and I don't lose weight easily, or my body doesn't build muscle easily, or whatever it is. You tell yourselves all that stuff mostly so you can just have the reward you want right now. You can just not have to put forth the effort in any way that it is. And the way, just the little summary of how it works best for me is to tell myself, is to think of what today's reward would be. What would today's reward be by doing this? And the outcome, I can't control. You can't always, guarantee certain outcomes when they don't have a number attached to, when it's not something like saving money, spending money. Sometimes you have to tell yourself it's okay because I'll still be doing better then, and I'll be doing better today, because every day adds up, and we always get to that 6 weeks, 3 months, a year, whatever it is. It always comes. It always seems so far away. But yeah, so this is what we're talking about today, even though I've kind of skipped all around, of course. But the choosing the immediate reward, it's a little bit different than just withholding a response or acting without thinking. It's choosing something now. You are thinking about it, but you're thinking of it in a way that may not be the most beneficial to yourself. And maybe you do that again and again and again. And maybe you don't like doing that. Maybe you don't know that's even possible to not do that. So what are some ways that this can show up in your life? In my life, your life? One could be just, let's say you need to go to the grocery store. You really need to go to the grocery store. When you get home, there's hardly anything to eat and you're really, really hungry, but you just got off of work or you just picked up the kids from school. And as you're driving home, the effort that it takes to go to that store seems far worse than the reward of being able to come home and have food to eat, not only today, but tomorrow and the next day and maybe for the week. And so what you do in your mind, you may just say, I don't feel like going to the store right now. I'd rather just be home. I'd rather just get home, be comfortable, stop driving around in this traffic, not have to go into the store. So you're weighing the thing that you need to do, and you're seeing that as being, well, let's back it up because I'm getting confused. Not confused, but I feel like I might be confusing you. You're taking the reward of having the food, which is what you want, right? That's your goal, is to have food. And maybe you set out to do that before. But as you drive home, the reward of just getting to be home, just having the day be over, you can go in, shut the door, and you're home. Don't have to do things in your day anymore. That reward of getting home faster might be greater to you, even though you really do need to do the other thing. Another thing that you might do is, say you're working on a project. You stop it, you don't finish it, even though the reward would be great because you need to get that done. You need to get your laundry done. Tomorrow you're going to want to know where those socks are. I'm raising my hand right now. I've been digging through laundry baskets looking for socks the past few days. You want to spend time doing that, but you don't want to spend time doing that. So your choice impulsivity is kind of combined with having a hard time making a decision, having a hard time committing to the thing with the greatest reward, committing to what you really need to do, what might be best for you, your home, your family. Maybe even doing something that's not important. Maybe it's a hobby or something like that. And you just think, I want to do this instead. And that's okay from time to time. But if that's your habit, to do the most exciting, most fun thing instead of things that are important, then you are taking the wonderful, gratifying feeling of I'm on top of things, all my clothes are put away, all of that. That's the reward for me. When I finish a project, it's not just the excitement of finishing the project. It's actually having things in order. The reward would be having a more orderly home. And if I am discounting that by only focusing on what's happening right now, what my needs are, taking those benefits of not doing it as opposed to spending the time doing it and getting the benefit later. That delayed benefit, discounting that benefit is what is this type of impulsive behavior, basically. So it can apply to a lot of things, and it might sound a little trickier to figure out, but I would imagine in your life, you can probably think of some things like this, even if you don't have big impulse control problems, even if you don't have that kind of ADHD where there are enough symptoms with it that you would actually be diagnosed with a hyperactive impulsive ADHD type. But you could have some of these tendencies if you have that executive dysfunction that makes it just really hard to hold off. And you're just always choosing that immediate benefit, that immediate reward, that immediate gratification. Another one, you are saving up to do something. You go into a store, you see something, and you think, I don't want to buy this. I'm saving up for this trip. We're going on a trip in 2 weeks. I want to have, I don't want to spend money right now because I want to feel more free to spend money when I get there. But you think, but I really want this. Can I wait? Can I wait? So money plays into a lot of these impulsive things, sadly enough. And then also just nighttime behavior. You have a plan. You have a schedule of getting to bed by a certain time so that you can be healthy, so that you can A, B, C, D, maybe not get leave late in the morning, whether it's to go to work, get kids to school, go to the gym, whatever it is. If you start watching a show, binge watching a show, and think just one more episode, that is taking that gratification, that enjoyment of the moment. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. When you should look at what will happen if I stay up too late? How will I feel in the morning? Maybe I'll sleep in. Maybe I'll get sick. Maybe I'll be late because I won't have it all together. Maybe my kids will have a harder time at school because I've rushed them in the morning because I wasn't up. All of those things, it's not looking at the big picture and considering that. Have you ever watched 24? I was very late to that show. I mean, it's an old show. And my husband and I just watched it, I think, last year. That was, they are really, really good with the hooks on those episodes, because we'd watch a couple episodes and I would be thinking every episode, I swear, every episode I would think, okay, this will be the last one because I want to go get a few things ready in the kitchen before bed. And then you get to the end of that episode and they do just one thing that makes me want to just watch just the beginning of the next episode. So at least I just get that answer, that little answer. I'm so curious what happens next. So I get to the beginning of the next episode and then I get into that, well, maybe I will just watch this episode. I don't really need to do that in the kitchen. But then as I'm watching that, like, I really need to go in and brush my teeth. I need to, and this is for sure the last episode. And then one thing. And I was sad when that show was over because I thought it was really, really good. But in a way, it was a relief because other shows haven't drawn me in like that at all. But yeah. So there have actually been studies on this. I've heard of a study with children where they tell them, I'm going to put, some candy on the table and leave, and you can eat it while I'm gone, but if you wait till I come back, then you'll get 2 of them. And I think, I should know my studies better, but pretty much all of them just ate the candy there. They didn't want to wait and get twice as much. They couldn't resist getting it right then. And there have also been studies, would you rather have $20 an hour or $50 in 2 weeks? Would you rather have, somehow in our minds, that delay discounting, the discounting of what can happen later, that $50 in 2 weeks, not just inflation, but $50 in 2 weeks, just doesn't sound as big as the $20 now. Although $20 doesn't buy us as much. But it's just the more that you do that, the more that you discount, rationalize the benefit, tell yourself it's not really that valuable, that is a more impulsive nature, more impulsive behavior. And it's almost like if you've ever done taxes, yeehaw on taxes, depreciation is when the value goes down, 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 down. And so it's like you are depreciating the value of that reward according to the amount of time it takes. If it's 1 month out, maybe you can do it. If it's 3 months out, that sounds like, like a fantasy land. Nothing. We're never going to get to 3 months out, are we? That just sounds forever away. It's hard. I've challenged myself with things where I give myself a reward. Have you ever done that? I'd say it's not as effective as somebody else saying you'll get this reward. Like if you join a competition, or I don't know what it would be. I used to do Beachbody reward challenges where we'd be in a group, and it was mostly because my friend was a Beachbody coach, and we'd just go in and we'd report our workouts and how we ate and how much water we drank and stuff. And our team always won because we wanted that reward. They weren't even huge rewards, but it was just that competitive nature that made that reward seem more valuable because we are also the winners. So I think when somebody else is challenging you to do that, that's really helpful. Accountability, of course, is super helpful. But I did used to give myself a reward. Like I remember one time I used to do firm workouts long, long ago, back in the that the 90s? It was the 90s. And they came out with a barbell, the firm barbell, and I still have it. I still value it very highly. Now they make barbells where you can buy a pad and put over them, and maybe they did too, but they're really, to me, long, thin bars. And then you have this pad that's kind of in the middle that goes on your shoulders. And that might be fine. But I never liked the really long ones. The firm one was thicker, not as long, and you just use whatever weight plates you wanted if you ever used barbell. But the pad was already on it. And instead of like this clip thing to put, I'm so picky about things. Instead of a clip thing to put the weight plates on, it actually slid across, and it was like just a magical design. And it was, I think it cost $40. It was either $40 or $60. It was probably even the early 2000s when I got some catalog. I don't even know if they had it online then. That's when we got our first computer in probably the year 2000 or 99. But that's how I measure things. But yeah, I decided if you can get yourself to do these workouts every day and stick to your eating plan for 1 month, you can buy yourself that barbell. And I did. And I was so happy. So happy. I still am. I haven't used it in a while, but oh well. Anyway. So yeah. So one of the things with the impulsive nature, the impulsive structure of our brains is you have a hyper responsive reward system. It makes it so you want the immediate gratification. You need that dopamine. You need that, I need that, woo! That's just so exciting. We got a touchdown. Yay! That's how we can feel when we reward ourselves, whether it's, I get to sleep in longer, that might not feel like a reward, but that kind of that could be more of a relaxing reward, like, whew, I don't have to get up or something. You don't have to push yourself or something. But a lot of things like food, that's a hard one. If you have problems with sugar or soda or caffeine, your Diet Coke, whatever it is, if it makes you happy to drink it, it's uplifting to you. You love to sing while you drive, all those things. And, there's somebody who doesn't appreciate that as much, and it's hard not to do it. Some of those things that make us feel uplifted, if we have to give them up, it can be hard. If there are things that make us happy, I know the singing thing doesn't make as much sense as a reward, but it is one of my things that makes me have a lot of dopamine. If you even think of things like that can take the place of something else that you're seeking, something else that you're trying to resist, whether it's, who knows what it is. Everyone has their thing, right? That saving money doesn't make you feel excited. It doesn't. Unless you're a little kid and you have a jar and you get to see it grow or something like that. But it doesn't make you just go, yay, I saved money today. It doesn't. So it can be really hard. So you have to think of strategies instead of just going, I'll find a way that this is fun. It doesn't always work. But if you are able to visualize somehow that benefit, visualize what it will be like to go on that trip and to be able to walk around town and to have more money to be able to eat out, not just go to the grocery store and eat money, food out of your rental car or something. Visualize what delaying spending now can do to help you on the trip. Help yourself remember why you set that goal in the first place. And that can be helpful. Also, just whatever it is that you want to do right now, see if you can delay it. I do this with eating sometimes, because I've always loved ice cream and can easily eat ice cream all day long. And sometimes if I think ice cream is the only thing that will make me happy right now, that's a common thought. So if I'm in that mood, it's actually not as common as it used to be, but it's still there. So if I'm having that time of day where I might think, if I had ice cream right now, it's the only thing I could eat, and it's the only thing that'll just be amazing. And if I stop myself on the way to the freezer and say, but what if before you ate that ice cream, you made yourself a chocolate protein smoothie? It's kind of like the ice cream. Not really, not nearly as good, but it has a similar benefit. It's cold, it's icy, it's chocolatey. It is not as yummy, but it's refreshing. It's wonderful. So I'm delaying that ice cream and actually nourishing my body with that protein smoothie. And by the time I've had that, I'm more balanced. I don't need that ice cream. I don't want that ice cream. So if you can find a way to delay yourself with something else that might not be as exciting, but it's still something you get now, even have a list. One of the first things I did when I made my website, and I don't know if anybody ever signed up for it, but because it's something that I like to do, and I just thought other people might like it too. But I like to think of my favorite things. I like to know what my favorite things are to do, what will give me a kind of a dopamine rush, what will feel rewarding. Maybe not like a prize or reward, but it is something that when I do it or see it, I feel good inside. That's what it's all about, right? It's eating that chocolate, you feel good inside. So what else can I do besides the thing that I'm trying to avoid right now? What could that be? And for me, putting on music and singing, if I just think of it on my own, like it's not as exciting. If I just start doing it, it feels great. If I actually put the earbuds in your ear, put on the music loud, start dancing, that will give it to me. I have to kind of push myself first, or lighting a candle. That might sound simple and it might not sound super energetic, but if you do love looking at fire, I do. I've always loved campfires, fire in a fireplace. It's just very soothing. It's not the jump up and down kind of response, but it is really soothing, and it's one of those pleasure responses, right? So if you have your list of things, and there could even just be 3 of them. It could be taking a hot bath. It could be walking outside and listening to the birds. It can be simple, and sometimes it's like we're pushing ourselves. Just go do that. See if if that helps. It might just distract you enough so that you are avoiding what you're trying to avoid. You're delaying what you're trying to delay. And you can even give yourself tiny rewards for pausing, for making it a day of doing what you want to do and saving money. It's kind of a funny thing because it's not like we want to spend money to reward ourselves for saving money. But maybe you do give yourself a little more time to yourself or something to paint your nails. Maybe you're not spending money to do it, but you allow yourself to lighten your work schedule somehow. Yeah. Also, I think it's really helpful to just get a mindset shift to change my perspective a little bit, to change the weight of how important this thing is that I think is so important to do. And imagine somebody else. Do they need that as much? How are they doing without that? You go to the store and you look in people's carts, if you're curious like I am, and it's not to judge, it's just because I'm kind of baffled with curiosity that everyone does it differently. Sure, there's some things that everyone buys, but there are a lot of things that I will never buy in my life that people buy every week. A lot of things on the shelf that I'll never, ever, ever, ever buy. We're all so different. So what makes one person go, oh, I'm so glad to eat this today? Somebody else is like, ew, I'd never eat that. I don't need that at all. So just kind of compare yourself and just kind of question yourself, like how great of a thing is this that I'm just building up so big in my mind? Maybe it's great, but yeah. Yeah, and you can even, if you think, oh, there's some sale, and if I don't buy this now, it's only for 3 days. If I don't do it now, I'm going to forget. Send yourself some kind of reminder, whether it's through your phone, your app, schedule. Sometimes I'll get an email that tells me about a sale that lasts 5 days or something. And I'll think, oh, I got to jump on this right now. And I'll waste way too much time just looking and thinking and putting things in the cart. And I'll think, do you really need to do this? back up and think, and I can't really back up in my mind. I can't really back up, but I can delay it, and I can take that email, forward it to myself, schedule send it. Have you ever used schedule send it on Gmail? It's down at the bottom. You pick a calendar date, you pick what time of the morning, afternoon, whenever, and just send it to yourself. And you get it and you go, what was I thinking? Why was I wanting to buy something there? In a different mindset. You just put yourself into the future. You may not even care about as much. But yeah. And, patience takes patience for sure. But you can become more patient. Become more patient. I've learned that in some ways and not always in other ways. I've learned that with my children, with people, I think, to delay responses to them that before I might have reacted more. But as far as the patience, like when I was talking about, not stopping at the store, not going to pick up food, sometimes even if I need to use the bathroom, I'll think, just run back into the gym, when I've taught or something, just go back in there. And I think, no, I'm in the car. I just want to go home. So I'm not giving myself what I really need is just to feel a lot better and do that now. Instead, I'm driving home, running a few errands first and causing a lot of discomfort. And we don't always do what's best for ourselves. Just in a way, it does feel like a lack of patience. But it's just because what we want to do right now doesn't match up with what might be best for us now or later. So, yeah. There's one other thing I was going to say, and I can't find it. I put all these notes in here. It could come back. But yeah, and I know I've mentioned 1,000 times I'm a yoga teacher, and all of these things, the slowing down, the pausing, the breathing, all of that can help. There are mindset shifts that you can make pretty easily just by doing that, because what happens is when the body gets more anxious because you're trying to decide, or it's building up in you. You just want to do this now. You don't want to wait till later, whatever it is. You could even be in line for a ride at Disneyland or somewhere. You might be in line at the grocery store. You've been in line for a while. You've already paid that much time to be there in the store and in line. But because you just want to get out of line, that impulsive nature, part of that is you're also not looking at that reward. The reward is if I stay in line, I can buy what I came here to buy. I will have it when I get home. I will have what I need, and I don't have to come back later, or I don't have to do without. But if you're choosing the immediate reward of, I could get in the car now, I could be out of this line, I could be walking around, I could be doing something different besides standing here going crazy in line. When you choose that immediate reward of being able to walk around, then you may give up what you really need to do, what the future thing is. And yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And sometimes you make it worse for yourself. Sometimes you really do. If you're somebody who switches lines, and this can be like on the freeway, it could be switching lanes. Being stuck in traffic is just like waiting in a big long line. But if you're in a line at the grocery store and then you see another register and you think, oh, I think that line's shorter. And so you go move your cart because you couldn't stand where you were anymore. It was driving you crazy. You go stand in the other one, and sure enough, that cart right there was actually so full, or they had some issue or something, and you're standing there and you're watching all the people that were behind you going through, or a register right by it opening up, and they're saying, hey, and they're taking, half of those people away. It's so frustrating. It's so hard. I've done the line switch many times. I've done the lane switch. I mean, a lot of people do that on the freeway for sure. I'm trying to learn to stay in your lane. Stay in your lane unless it's really obvious that's the worst lane, but then don't switch back. I don't know, maybe there's no hard, fast rule. It's hard to know. I'd really just rather get off the freeway and go drive through some field of cows or something, by some, not in the field, but next to the cows. I'd rather drive farther, and even if it took longer, than waiting. So it's choosing that immediate reward to, just get out of the stuck situation. But yeah, I guess that's probably it for today. I had more to say. I always have more in my mind, and afterwards I'll remember. That's life, isn't it? That's life. Thank you so much for being here. This is probably a shorter session. Session. We're in therapy together, in case you didn't know. Really, this is kind of what this is. Not really, but it's learning together. It's learning together. I'm learning, and then I'm sharing what I've learned. And not just since I've been diagnosed with ADHD, but just sharing what I've learned even before that. All those strategies, and I'm sure you've done it too, where you develop these strategies that you didn't even know were for ADHD. You didn't even know were because your brain was doing this thing that everybody else's brain isn't doing. But yeah, I would love to hear, and I'm going to probably think about it too. That's not very committed. Huh? I'm going to think about this too. I'm going to watch for, and I want you to do this, watch for circumstances in the next week. Anytime when it's wiser for you to wait to get that greater reward, and you choose an immediate reward instead, or you're tempted to choose the immediate reward instead. Notice how hard that is for you, or if it's not very hard, or if there are people around you that it's a lot harder for them than it is for you, because we're all different. It's kind of fascinating, because the more that I think about it, the more I see that I do this, that I struggle with this. Even just the cleaning and organizing part. If you like your house to be organized, but you're a little baffled by the whole process and you don't have time for it, and my refrigerator right now, if I put one thing in, it's like a little, everything else is going to push and fall out. I really need to clean the refrigerator, but I don't think I have time before my trip. I'm going on a trip in 2 days. So everyone's going to live with that. I don't know, maybe I'll throw a few things away. But if I really took probably 15 minutes, I would get that reward. 15 minutes of effort. Instead of watching TV, that's the immediate reward. Instead of watching TV for 15 minutes tonight, can I go in to the fridge and just quick throw stuff away? It's hard. When you have ADHD, you might do that and then think, well, really, I'm going to spend a half hour. Now I'm going to spend 45 minutes. I'm going to clean out the inside. It's hard not to go hyper-focused once you start doing it. But if you really only want to spend 15 minutes, set a timer and do that. See if you can get a greater reward for some task that you're avoiding, because you're really just choosing the immediate reward to not do it. Anyway, thanks again. I appreciate you being here. I'll be back again next week. I'm really gone next week, but I'll make 2 more episodes for next week. So thanks so much for being here. Remember to subscribe if you're on YouTube, or leave a 5-star review if you're on a podcast, whatever they're called, platform, and share this episode with 2 people. Thanks. Bye.